Welcome to the Buyer Consultation Guide, where I'm going to walk you through everything that's actually important while buying a home. So much information out there online, so much of it is false, inaccurate, or just not important to you as a buyer. So my goal is to lay out the foundational aspects of buying a home, what's required, what's needed, and the actual timeline. So by the end of this, you will know everything that's actually needed by you to purchase a home. Let's get started. The timeline of buying a home. So you decided to purchase a home and you need to figure out the timeline of how long this entire process will take. And if you're currently renting a home, I hope that's a month to month. That does make it a little easier because if you're renting on a longer term lease, well, there are different options, and who knows, we might be able to buy a home with you right now, and so you can actually start owning your first real property and have passive income. At this point, we're going to start defining what kind of properties you're looking at. We'll talk about your area, your zip code, how far away from work it needs to be, the number of bedrooms, whether you need a backyard, a front yard, and the price range. Cash flow mortgage payments, and the HOA a month. Now, not everybody will end up buying a house that matches all their initial criteria, but it's a good place as any to start. So at this point, I'll usually list a bunch of different houses to view, probably 5 to 6 in an afternoon. And what I usually like to throw in is I like to put in one surprise home. Wow! Something that I think that you like, but usually out of your initial search criteria, you'll be surprised at how many times those homes I show end up being the ones that the client picked in the end. Now, this process usually takes about 30 days, but in today's market, it might take a little longer because the inventory is so low. So many houses have many different bids and don't stay on the market very, very long. And after that, if you find a house that you like, I'll help you write an offer, and it will put in what we call an earnest money. Earnest money is like a security deposit, and it's usually about 1%. It goes into a neutral third party who holds it, and just to make sure that whatever you buy, you and the seller will follow through it until the end of the deal. The bank will then send in an appraiser to see what you're buying. The bank is also partnering with you and don't want to lose money. So it wants to make sure that the house that you're buying for at the price that the seller is selling to you at is roughly what the bank would appraise it for. So if the seller is going to sell you a house for $1 million, and if the bank says, no, it's really not worth $1 million, it's only $800,000, it will land you based on what its appraised value is, which is $800,000. And depending on the financial institution you're working with. But most times, the appraisal and the actual price that the seller is selling it is almost roughly around the same. So this variation, in some cases, in very rare cases, it's very, very wild. But in most cases, it's very, very close. Banks do need to do their own due diligence, and this is what they do. They send in an appraisal just to make sure that whatever you buy is whatever they're willing to fund the price that you buy it for. You can sign the final closing paperwork and close. Typically, there's a 30-day window after you go into contract on a property. So the total time it takes from the beginning to the end and actual closing and getting your keys is the fastest you would be roughly around 60 days. Although if you're paying with cash, it can even be as quickly as 21 days. But most times, in order to wait for the ink to dry after you dot all your I's and cross out all your T's, it's probably going to take you roughly a couple of months. So safe time frame to look at would be roughly 2 to 3 months. Money conversation. Now you've made it this far. I'm going to break down everything that comes out of your pocket potentially to buy a new home. Now, the first thing you're going to have to think of is earnest money. Earnest money is what you're going to put up when you go under contract to a neutral third party. That's typically about 1% of the purchase price. So if you're buying a home for $1.5 million, expect to give a check for $15,000. Now, this $15,000 will count towards your down payment and as well as to the final payment of your home. The thing you want to do is order a home inspection. You're going to want a home inspection to make sure, for example, that the roof is good, that it's not going to fall down anytime soon, that the basement is solid, that it's not going to crumble after you get the keys, or if the sliding door is a little wonky and you want the owner to make good on that, or if there's a huge plumbing issue. These are the things that is going to affect your decision making on whether or not to continue with the deal. So this home inspection that you order typically costs between $300 to $1,000, depending on the size of the property and the style of the home. Now, obviously, an older home will come with a little bit more problems, potentially, that even the current owners that have been staying there for the last 20 or 30 years may not know about. So the home inspection will reveal a lot of this. And after you get this report, you have three options to weigh in. Number one, decide to go ahead with the deal. That would be the best. Number two, negotiate for a discount, assuming some of the things that the home inspection showed was left out in the initial listing. And you can go back and say, hey, you didn't talk about this, and this is going to be a huge problem that I'm going to have to fix. And then you can talk to your agent, and your agent can go back to the owner of the home and say, hey, I need to fix this. So if this is going to cost $50,000 to fix, I'm going to need a $50,000 discount off the initial price. And then you can go back and forth and you say, okay, if you give me the $50,000, I will go ahead with the deal. If not, then you can back out of it. So the third option is you can actually back out of the deal. And depending on how the contract was initially signed, you may or may not get back your earnest money. Before you give your earnest money and give an offer, and you need to read the contract, or at least have a good enough agent that will try and protect you from this potentially very expensive pitfall. The next thing you have to consider is the down payment. Down payment is something that you're going to have to go through it with your lender, who will go through your financial background and of what specific needs you're in, or whatever particular situation you're in. But down payments can vary from 0% to 100%. 100% means you bring all cash in, or you can go from a 0% financing with some VA loans and some conventional loans, and you can even get a 3.5% down with some FHA loan. Now, as far as conventional loans are concerned, you can put 5, 10, 15, or 20% down. The reason that you hear a lot of people do a 20% down for most conventional loans is that when you bring 20% down payment to the table, that means you get to avoid principal mortgage insurance. Now that allows you to potentially save quite a bit of money every single month because you brought so much money to the table. So that's something you and the lender will have to work towards and figure out. The last cost that you might have to consider is closing costs. When you buy a home, there's all sorts of fees associated. The origination fees, which is usually roughly around 1% of the actual purchase price of the home, to taxes, title, and escrow fees, mortgage insurance costs, and recording fees of the property to your name. That fee usually goes up to roughly potentially around 3%, or it could be as low as 1.5%, depending on the price range of your home. A lot of the time, these fees can be incorporated into the mortgage itself, so you don't have to worry about paying for this with cash. Now that you understand the process of buying a home, or what goes into it financially and the timeline, now you reach out to me so I can connect you with a quality lender, and he or she will walk through with you the steps to make sure that you can get a loan. Now, I'm sure you've heard that the market is quite crazy right now, and because the inventory is so low, when you make an offer, the most important thing is to have a strong team behind you to support you with that offer. Fair warning, it can get some quite brutal out there. Some homes receive as many as 30 to 40 offers within the first weekend of the open house. So to make sure that your financial picture is all in line before we get started with all the rest of the other process, that involves you getting yourself pre-approved. Now, there's a couple of things that you need to send to your lender. For example, you need to send him your payslip, and then also need to run a credit check on you, just make sure that you will be qualified by a lender. Now, a mortgage broker doesn't only lend you money from one financial institution. He won't be checking one particular bank. For example, if you go to a Wells Fargo, you would be getting a loan from a Wells Fargo. If you were to go to a Bank of America, you would go to only a Bank of America to get a mortgage loan. But if you go to a mortgage broker, now what the mortgage broker does is this: depending on your financial situation, he or she will decide, okay, these are 5 financial institutions that will fit your criteria and will be able to give you a better rate. So typically, a lot of the financial brokers that I work with roughly 50 to 60 different financial institutions that can help you find a good loan. The mortgage broker can help you get a better picture. And so when we go out there and we start finding a home, and once you find your dream home, the home that you think you like to stay in, we're going to have a very, very strong team that will help you win this bid. And lastly, why Charlie? These are the 3 things I think why you should work with me. Negotiating, number 1. I've done this for the last 30 years of my life, from being an entrepreneur who run my own businesses and negotiating with large companies or individuals, or for the last couple of years, negotiating hard on deals for real estate for a lot of my clients. I do that really, really hard. Number 2, technicals. I am a geek at heart. I love technicals. I love looking at charts. I love looking at numbers. I love looking at graphs. I love looking at the potential ability to try and find you a really, really rough diamond in all the entire drawers out there. So when people walk away from deals, those are the deals that I love to go in. And if the numbers make sense, I'll put the numbers together and I'll present it to you and I'll show it to you why I think this is a good deal and everyone's walking away from. Number 3, I'm a tireless worker. I don't sleep a lot. I work between 12 to 16 hours a day. So you will have me for all of that. So in this particular process of buying a home, if you want somebody to be constantly thinking about how to get you a good deal day in, day out, pretty much all through that particular time frame of you buying the process to help you walk you through that, I'm your guy. So if you think we're a good match, give me a call. My phone number and my links are all below. And if you have any questions about buying real estate in Silicon Valley, please do give me a call. I love the outdoors. If you'd like to go on a camping trip, give me a holler as well. Thank you, and I look forward to working with you.